This is my topic, like linguistic transitional justice and reconstruction of the legal framework, just like what you just said. And I introduce myself a little bit. I'm the first year of the PhD student, and this is my study interest in critical sociality linguistics and the colonial language justice, something like that. And this is today's agenda, and we are talking about why is the linguistic issue should be fitted in the transitional justice framework. Okay, so before we start, I have some little game to ask everyone. So, who are you from Taiwan? Can you raise your hand? Okay, mostly we are from Taiwan. And then, do you call yourself a speaker of Tâi-gí? Yeah, and Hakka? Oh, you're both. And the indigenous language? Anyone? No, not yet. Okay. So, and do you call yourself a Mandarin speaker? Yeah, remember this, okay? Okay, before we begin, and why I'm doing this research is that was in 2019. It was what incident? Okay, can be. Can you hear from me? Okay, that's what happened in 2019 in the Taiwan University. So that should be the best university in Taiwan. And that happened when I was studying my master's degree, and I was a board member, and you can see the chef just bending me when I speaking in Taiwanese. So that is why I'm going to have this study, because I have that kind of experience. Okay, so what happened to Taiwanese native language? Like just the first speaker already introduced a little bit. So this is the argument review from this study, and what the Mandarin monolingual policy create the situation for all the native language in Taiwan. And also he showed the numbers that in 1915 there was 85.3% that people use Taiwanese, and for now there's only 7.4% that children 6 to 14 can speak Taiwanese. And so the language have 3 generation lost. Taiwanese is 57%, and other language is worse. Okay, so this is the comparison. So in the first time, in the 1947, that Cheng, during the 228 incident, he said we should reform the thinking of Taiwanese people to make them fully Chinese. That is what they say to to Chiang Kai-shek. Okay, so I think that is a genocide in that case. So how were native language suppressed? So that is in very lot of ways. For example, in education, there's a Mandarin-only instruction, and penalty takes if you speak Taiwanese in school or any other like Hakka individual language, you have to make that take by school and some punishment. And then the publication that the POJ text is excised and no Taiwan in express. And also in media, the Protest Act 20 that said we should reduce the dialogue yearly in the law. And also the judiciary that in the court is also asked to use only Chinese, and also in government and writing in a lot of different ways. So it made the Mandarin monolingual policies like that. So what constitutional rights were valid? I think there's at least 7 constitutional violations. For example, the 7 is equality. The language is administered by others, and also in the other article in the in Constitution. And then why is the language excluded from transitional justice? I think there's a 5 institutional silence. The first is the Wang Taishen. He's the very famous law scholar, but in his study about transitional justice is zero mention about language. And the exclusive Yuan, they have the justice education plan. There's nothing about the language and language autonomy as well. And in the NHRC, there is a report for independent assessment. In 1923, there's only 2 sentences is mentioned about Tâi-gí, but it's never followed up with those problems. And there's only one research that I found that combined the transitional justice and the language is the price in 2020, but it's only about 600 words in English, and he was saying that France was a victor's justice for the Taiwanese. I think that's a little bit not very suitable. And also the Jiang Wenyu, she has a research about defined 6 elements of language justice, but that is conceptual only, but lack of the operation. So there are 3 gaps that why language is exclusive. The first one is a theoretical gap that transitional justice authority theory assumes victim itself identified. For example, usually, for example, the 228 or the white tails, those victims know they are victims, but under the language, most people they never thought they are victims of a linguist bandit. And so there's also the epistemic gap that post-policy generation do not believe anything was lost. For example, the younger generation, they cannot speak Taiwanese or their mother tongue. They think that is natural to speak in Mandarin only. And also there's a study for the high school student in 1923, and 23 students in 24 think the Mandarin is the strongest language they can use, and also just like their mother tongue. And there's a recognized gap that policy repeal as a resolution, and it's ongoing situation. It's not quite ending yet. So why does language belongs in the transitional justice framework? Because we have the Act of Promoting Transitional Justice in 2017, and Article 3 is the authoritarian period is from 1945 to 1992. So the policy is within scope during this period. And the Article 4 is about open access, remove symbols, and preserve signs and correct judicial wrongs. But there's no mention about language. And the policy falls squarely within the Article 3 temporal scope, but the fourth is remedy contain no mention about language. And so there is some reason that I think that it's reasonable to fit it in the transitional justice framework. So what legal framework can address this? The first, I think there's two operational concepts. The first is right to know, and the second is right to assess. The right to know is a defense right. The citizens have the right to receive information about their rights, safety, and will in the language they understand. So I think that is a conditional for the justice. And the second, the right to assess is a positive right, that native citizens have the right to use the public resource and the service in their mother tongue. That is a realization of justice. So what should be done? I think there's a 4-pathway remedy framework. The first is ethnology. What the government should do is an official report, and they have to do a formal apology. And for example, they have to put the transitional justice about the language into the education, that everyone, the student will understand the suppressed before was wrong. And the compensation is a rehabilitation fund for all the language that are present right now, and the civil service credit should be applied. And there's a service position for those mother tongue language speaker. They can because before only the Mandarin speaker can go into the public service, and so now there should be some research position for the next generation who can use the language frequently. So the restoration is like amend the Judicial Organization Act, that 1997 that was in court is only used in Mandarin should be amended, and the government should support the multi-language service, and also the digital infrastructure and the consortially education in mother tongue. For example, we need all education in Taiwanese, in Hakka, and also in indigenous language. That is very important, because for now we didn't have a system that can let us to study from kindergarten to doctoral studies. That is very important for the language to revive. And for the justice, and there should be an act like Linguistic Equality Act, and should be a community with the language equality. So the pathway, the first one, like I just present, that should be the official reports that Mandarin monolingual policy is regime wrongdoing, and the formal apology from the government and incorporation into justitional justice on education. And okay, and the second is competition. That's the victim criterion. Lots of the heritage language used within the family have the generation gap. So the fund will priority for the most several affected communities, and the mother tongue certificate credit is in civil service examination. For example, now you have a lot of examination, but if you have the certificate of mother tongue, you should be a promote of that. And then preserve position for the mother tongue speaker and cross-ethnic language rehabilitation community should be established. And the third is to remove the institutional tool that produce wrongdoing, like I just present, and also the Tâi-gí digital infrastructure, like for speak, recognize, and the MT or the tax processing should be built up. And the fourth justice, like I just said, that the Language Equality Act and the committee, just like the model, like the on gender equality committee, that should be the independent in the Scandinavian authority. And for now, there's still the structural gap, like indigenous language, they have Council of Indigenous Peoples, and Hakka, they have Hakka Affairs Council, but only the Taiwanese speaker, there's no institutional advocate yet. So was the operation ended? That is two cases that is ongoing issue. In 1986, there was a pickle peanuts incident that because there was some toxic peanuts canned that in the market. So the government, they have announced it, through the pocket, the broadcast like the news, but they are only in the Mandarin. So some people, they didn't understand the information. So one 68-year-old Taiwanese speaker, the woman was died because she didn't know about the warning. And last year, we know in Tainan burial lake overflow that there was about 18 person was killed and 6 was missing because the evacuation broadcast in Mandarin only, maybe also in Taiwanese, but there's mostly the Bangsa. They live in the place, so they cannot really understand the important or the dangerous, so they didn't escape. And then maybe because that they lost their life. So there's 40 years apart. Some structural factories still like this. So we should change this system very well. So for this contribution is like dialogy for triple gate framework and conceptual, regional, and rapid access, and institutional full pathway framework. And some limitation is as well as no large scale empirical survey of language use and attitudes, and some unresolved potential tests. And like we actually don't know how the language was crashing from the last century until now. And the Taiwan's specific broader application require verification. And the future, maybe some in European field work can be done, and the systemic report should be analyzed. For the conclusion, the Mandarin monolingual policy constitutional authoritarian area was ongoing and structural excluded from the transitional framework, and the three gaps explain that exclusion. And right to know and right to assess provide operational concept for pathway remedy, and language operation is ongoing. So the last generation of fluent speaker is aging out, and establish a language equality act and the community is very important and should be equally for the language retaliation. So, and in my point of view, that Taiwanese current state is constrained by monolingual habitus, and the goal is not merely for the multilingual, but the polylingual. So the question is not whether the policy ended, but whether it's consequence have. So, 感謝, thank you, and I'm Zise, and one night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our third speaker, Linguistic from National Cheng University Taiwanese Studies, please. He will be speaking on discursive legitimation of the colonial language in post-democratization Taiwan. Please welcome Linguistic.